ॐ सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We are reading the second part of Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, called Sadhak Bhav, and we have finished reading the Sadhak Bhav as such, and we have entered the appendix yesterday, that is, day before yesterday. That is, things not connected with sadhak bhav, but in that period before he became well known to the public. So that is the demarcation of time which tallies also with his guru bhav. So sadhak bhav and guru bhav, two angles of looking at him as the ideal universal teacher and as the ideal sadhak. Now we have entered the appendix. And in the appendix, what we met with is that his middle brother Rameshwar had lot of spiritual qualities, and after death, he informed one of his friends that I am gone. And Thakur told him, well, last he was priest in the Kali temple. And when he used to go to house again and again, and last time when he was going, Thakur told him, don't sleep with your wife. Otherwise, you will not survive. But it seems he did not obey that, had fever and passed away at the age of 48. So, quite a young age, we may say. And yes, some 40s, in his 40s. Died at dead of night only. It is given, I read yesterday, that in 40s. Now, and another beautiful fact in that period was that his mother's mind, Thakur's mother's mind, had gone so much above that Thakur went to console her. She herself started consoling him. And before going to her, he had prayed to Divine Mother to make his mother's mind high. All these beautiful incidents were read. Now, we also read that after Rameshwar's passing away, his eldest son Ramlal came and became the pujar in the Kali temple. Now, we are passing on to Mathur Babu had passed away. So, somebody had to be there to supply Thakur's needs. It refers back to an old incident, and we must remember that Thakur told Divine Mother, I don't want to become a dry sadhu. I want to stay in rasa. Rase boshe thakbo. Now, it should not be misunderstood that you want to enjoy. Shukna Sadhu means the jnanis in general harp only on the Nirgum Brahma and they become dry, bereft of bhakti. But Thakur wanted the full truth. Thakur knew the full truth. And the full truth is that the reality which is transcendent also is immanent. And so, when the mind comes to the world, immanential plane of God, that is called the rasa. God is called rasa vaisa. Rasami eva labdva anandi bhavati. Rasam is source of joy. So God is not only joy, God is the source of joy. Rasami eva ayam labdva anandi bhavati. By getting this rasa, man becomes full of bliss. So that is what Thakur wanted because it is the full truth that God is not only transcendent but immanent also. Now, if he has to stay in the world, then there will be requirements for the body. And so, when he prayed like that, Mother told him that 4 suppliers of food have been sent with you. So they will supply. Now, the first was Mathur Babu, and for 14 years, he supplied everything which Thakur wanted, food, not only food and other things, but whatever he required for sadhana, even female dress and everything, gold ornaments, and whatever he wanted to give to sadhus, so all that Mathur did. Now Mathur has passed away. So somebody has to be there to give that. That is the point where we are now, para 8. The story of Shambhu Malik, second supplier of the master's necessities. Now there is a difference between Mathur and Shambhu. Mathur had supplied everyone, but when Holy Mother came, Thakur said, now you have come, Mathur is not there. So somebody has to be there who will be equally devoted to Holy Mother also, and that is Shambhu. And Shambhu's wife both. So we read about him now. When Mathur died, Shambhu Chandra Malik of Sindhuriyapati, Calcutta, were read of Shambhu Malik. It was he who read out the Bible to Thakur, came to be acquainted with the Master and developed great love and reverence for him. Here there is a footnote that in between there was another gentleman. Some of the Master's devotees say that they heard him mention the fact that after the death of Mathur Babu, Manimohan Sen of Paniati took upon himself the loving duty of supplying all the master's necessities. So Holy Divine Mother has arranged everything. So if one goes, the next man is ready. Manimohan then had much respect for the master and used to visit him very often. We have seen that Thakur, when he went to Paniati, he used to first go to Manisen's house. And there was a temple in Manisen's house. And then he used to go elsewhere. So that is Manisen. Shambhu took on that duty after Manimohan. After Manimohan does not mean Manimohan is dead or any such thing. But gap was fulfilled by Manimohan, and by the time Shambhu came. But Shambhu, the master himself pointed out, was the second supplier of his necessities. So Mother had told him 4, Mathur was first, and Thakur himself said Shambhu is the second. So Mani Babu, it seems to us, did not continue to serve him long, even though he had started to execute that self-imposed charge. So did not continue for long does not mean respect for Thakur lost. But Shambhu came in between and started doing everything. Shambhu had at this time a great love for the religion practiced by the Brahmo Samaj. So Manisen was a Paniyati, devotee. Shambhu belonged to that group who came to Thakur through Brahmo Samaj. He became known to the people of Calcutta on account of his great munificence. Munificence means charity. So he was already a big man, known to people of Calcutta. His love and devotion to the master became deeper day by day, and he had the privilege of serving him like Mathur Babu, Mathur. Shambhu was glad to supply his wants whenever he came to know of any. He continued to serve him to the last of his days. That is the difference. Like Mathur. And felt highly gratified. By serving Thakur, he felt gratified. Shambhu addressed the master as Guruji, honored preceptor. Annoyed at it, the master said, "Who is the Guru and who is the disciple? You are my Guru." So Thakur did not like addressed as these three words. Guru, Baba, Father, Karta, the Lord, the boss of the house. So he said, "Why you are calling me Guru?" But instead of desisting, Shambhu called him so all his life. That is the beauty. Thakur is saying, don't say, but he feels that Thakur has taught him everything, so I will not call him Guru. Remember these things, huh? It not mentioned anywhere that Thakur gave him mantra. And he is calling Thakur as Guru. So is Guru who shows the right path, who opens the eyes, is Guru. But instead of desisting, Shambhu called him so all his life. His addressing the master that way is a clear proof of the fact that Shambhu had received much light on his spiritual path because of the master's divine company. He even does not say, Saradananda Swamiji, that due to master's advice or master's talk. Master's company itself taught many things to Shambhu. Under the influence of which his religious life was crowned with complete success. Complete success. Before his death, he had said, I am ready with bundle everything. The moment call comes, I will go. So, his religious life was crowned with complete success. Now, another beauty is like Jagdamadasi. Jagdamadasi has not seen a Holy Mother. But Shambhu's wife was devoted to Thakur and Ma. And Shambhu also was devoted to Holy Mother. His wife also offered her heartfelt worship to the Master as God himself. And when the Holy Mother stayed at Dakshineshwar, brought her to her house every Tuesday. Now here it is mentioned, every Tuesday. In Bengali, Jai Mangalwar. So I was confused, what is Jai Mangalwar? Then I understood, and that is given in the footnote in the English book. Tuesday, but in the running text, they have not mentioned it. They should have said every Holy Tuesday. And then explain what is this Holy Tuesday. Tuesday is regarded auspicious for the worship of the Devi. So it is called Jai Mangalwar, Holy Tuesday. And worshipped her holy feet with the 16 articles. So, Shodashopachar Puja, just like you do to a Devi, she worships Sarda Devi literally. And fun is that Thakur was telling Shambhu, don't call me Guruji. Mother did not say any such thing. mother accepted that worship does not mean that she was elated, because the next moment, coming back to her room in Nabat, she started sweeping, serving Thakur's devotees, cooking. So that is the extreme beauty of mother's life. If from Thakur we are learning what is spirituality, from mother we are learning how spiritual life can be natural in our life. How a man can behave natural even though he is advanced spiritually. This we learn from mother much more than Thakur. Because I have seen that Thakur would lose himself and go to Samadhi and dance, and in Holy Mother all that is hidden in her personality. So this is the beauty, that Shambhu's wife took Holy Mother to her house. She did not say no. She worshipped her on every Tuesday. She worshipped her feet with 16 articles. Holy Mother did not say no. But she was not puffed up due to this. In a very natural way, she accepted. She knows she is the Devi. And when she came back to the room, she served all the people, sweeping the room, sweeping Thakur's room, cooking, feeding different type of devotees with Thakur. She cooked food differently for everybody. All this she did. So that is the great beauty of mother's life. The Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar for the second time, probably in the middle of 1874. These things are not written or recorded anywhere, so Sharadan Savji uses the word probably. Though by his calculation he has found this. She lived now as before with the master's mother at the Nabat. Knowing this and inferring that she was feeling it uncomfortable to live in that small room, Shambhu purchased for 250 rupees in those days, very big amount, a plot of land near the Dakshineshwar temple. Shambhu Babu built a room for the Holy Mother. Captain helped the master, was passed. Captain helped. The master passed one night in that room. So, who was the captain who had met with him? That Upadhyay, regent of the Nepal government in Calcutta, Vishwanath Upadhyay. And like a military man, his appearance must have been there. Thakur used to call him captain. And he was a great yogi also. During Thakur's Samadhi, he told that if you rub ghee from top to bottom of the back, he comes to the normal plane easily, etc. So, when Shambhu decided to build the room, Captain also took part in that. That means Captain also was devoted to not only Thakur but to Holy Mother. And how he helped, we shall see. So Shambhu purchased a plot of land near the Dakshineshwar temple on which he wanted to build a spacious thatched room for her. She wanted to live in a simple way, so spacious thatched room. Captain Vishwanath Upadhyay, an officer of the Nepal government, was then paying visits to the master and had become greatly devoted to him. We should add, and to Holy Mother also. Knowing the resolve of Shambhu to have the room built, Captain Vishwanath readily came forward with the offer of supplying all the timber necessary for building it. Because he was in charge of those things. For the sal wood business of the government of Nepal was then in his hands. Sal is a timber, that means wood used in building material. So, he was the sal wood business of the government of Nepal was then in his hands, and therefore it was not very expensive for him to supply it. When the work of building the room began, Vishwanath sent three big pieces of salt, three logs, one should say. Three logs of salwood from his top at the village of Belur across the Ganga. That means Belur Mutt now is in the village Belur. Here was that Nepal government stop. And Dakshineshwar is on the opposite bank of the Ganga. So that was the mode that you push three logs from here and they would reach there. Across the Ganga. But as there was a strong flood tide in the river at night, one piece was carried away. Hriday became annoyed at it and went the length of calling the Holy Mother unfortunate. Hriday has no head. She is getting that free. That is nothing to him. One log washed out is her mistake. However, hearing, that one piece was carried away, the captain sent another and the building was completed. The Holy Mother lived in that room for about a year. A woman was then appointed to be with the Holy Mother, so all the Shambhu is paying, and to help her in the household work. The Holy Mother cooked food there, brought it daily to the master at the Dakshineshwar temple, so adjoining the temple, and came back after the master had taken it. The master also used to come to that room to meet her sometime during the day, be with her for a short period, and return to the temple. So, though Naubat was near, that was also not far away, and master must keep company. So he used to come now and then. There was an exception to this routine only on one occasion. As soon as the master came one afternoon there, it went on pouring so heavily and continuously till it was very late at night, so that it was impossible for him to come back to the temple that night. He was therefore compelled to pass the night there. The Holy Mother cooked for him soup and rice. This soup in Bengali is called jhol. It is a combination of many vegetables, lot of juice in it, very little of spices. That is the preparation. So it is called soup in English. It is not what we understand by soup normally. So I told the Bengali equivalent is jhol. The master partook of them and passed the night there. So master's life is an open book. Everything is described. Now why she lived there only for a year? The Holy Mother fell seriously ill while she was living in that room and went to Jairambati. The Holy Mother had a severe attack of dysentery. That was the common thing, it seems, in Calcutta or in Bengal. When she had lived in that room for a year, Shambhu Babu took much care to get her cured. He called Dr. Prasad and she was placed under his treatment. So we are meeting this doctor for the first time, must be a famous doctor at Calcutta. Prasad doctor, that's all. And she was placed under his treatment. During her convalescence, she was sent to her native village, Jarambati. Convalescence means you have recovered from the disease, but weakness and other after effects stand. At that time, it is always better to have changed climate. And so, she was sent to Jarambati. Her native village, Jarambati, probably in 1876. Hardly had she reached the village when there was a relapse of the disease, and she was again bedridden. It increased so much gradually that everyone doubted whether she would recover. Ramchandra, the revered father of the Holy Mother, had passed away by then, so her mother and brothers served her as much as they could. Hearing of her severe illness, the master, we were told, said to Hriday, so Hriday, her coming into the world and leaving it will be in vain, and nothing of the purpose for which the human body is assumed, namely the attainment of God, will have been achieved. That is, only he expressed, seeing the seeker, but it recovered. She had to. Not only her sadhana, but she had to administer to hundreds of people after Master's passing away. So that is the main purpose of her life. The Holy Mother undertook Prayopaveshana in Singhavahini's temple and got the medicine. So that was a common practice in villages in those days. You go to the nearest temple and fast unto death or until you get your problems solved. That is called Prayopaveshana. Seeing that the disease was not elevated by any means, the Holy Mother had the idea of undertaking Prayopaveshana, fasting unto death, before the Devi. Thinking that her mother and brothers might stand in her way if they knew it, she went without their knowledge to Singhavahini's temple in the village. So that was the main temple in Jarambati, Singhavahini, the mother who rides on a lion, Singhavahini, and undertook Prayopaveshana there. Scarcely had she been there in that condition for a few hours, because she herself is Devi, so the Devi told her quickly. When the Devi was pleased and prescribed the medicine for her recovery, so she told, take such and such medicine. No sooner had she taken the medicine according to the bidding of the Devi than she came round. So cure was also immediately, though people had given up hope even, and became strong as before. Since the Holy Mother undertook Prayopaveshana and got the medicine, the Devi has become well known in the surrounding villages as one especially awakened. So, Singhavahini was not known for these purposes. Holy Mother getting medicine made her awakened. So perhaps Holy Mother spiritually entered there. And this awakened means communicating with people. That is what Singhavahini became after Holy Mother got the medicine. Well known in the surrounding villages as one especially awakened. Now he is telling about Shambhu Babu. In the appendix, the fearless behavior of Shambhu Babu at the time of his death. He was not afraid of dying at all because his life purpose is fulfilled by Thakur's company. Shambhu served the Master and the Holy Mother for about 4 years. When he was laid up in his sick bed, one day the Master went to see Shambhu during his illness and said when he returned, there is no oil in Shambhu's lamp. That means the Prarabdha karma has come to an end. The words of the Master came true and Shambhu died soon after of diabetes with complications. In those days, diabetes was also almost a fatal disease. Shambhu Babu was very liberal and he was an intrepid devotee of God. Tejasvi Ishwar Bhakta Chilan. Tejasvi, that is called interpret here. Tejasvi Bhakta, a Bhakta hero-like devotee. The cheerfulness of his mind was not impaired even for a single day during his illness. With a cheerful heart, did he say to Hriday a few days before he passed away, I have no anxiety about death. I have packed up all my bag and baggage and I am quite ready to depart. Long before he was acquainted with Shambhu Babu, the master, while in ecstasy, saw that the mother of the universe had appointed Shambhu his second supplier of necessities, and he recognized him at the first sight as such. So just like recognizing his devotees, he is recognizing the supplier of wants. Now, next event, appendix. Thakur's mother would pass away. The last days of Chandramani, the master's mother, and her death. There happened an important event in the master's life after the Holy Mother had gone to her father's house during her illness. So when mother was in Jairambati, something happened. The master's mother, Chandramani Devi, passed away in her 85th year on his birthday in 1876, Thakur's birthday, and 86 years, mother's age. So quite long she has lived, and now her two sons, Ramkumar and Rameshwar, had died. Her husband died long before. Even the grandson Akshay has died, and now she has lived a pretty long age, full. On account of dotage, the powers of her mind and sense were impaired to a great extent for a few years before her death. Dotage means old age. Now there is some fun. The spirituality inside is shining. And so, though there was madness like, that is dotage, there is spirituality manifested even in that madness. So spirituality is something very deep, and by the time his mother had become fully spiritual. We record here the description of her death as it was given to us by Hriday. The Hriday was about to go home on leave. 4 days before she died, his mind became restless on account of an unknown fear before he started. And he could by no means bring himself to leave the master alone and go. Hriday apprised the master of his apprehension when the latter said, then you need not go. So he also knew. 3 days passed safely. The master used to go to his mother every day for some time and serve her with his own hands. So the emperor of sannyasis is following his duty as an ideal householder also and served the mother till the end. She had come to live there with his own hands, not that saw or supervised and asked somebody to serve. Hriday also used to serve her, and Kali's mother, a woman servant, remained for almost the whole of the daytime with the old lady. She was not now well disposed towards Hriday. She did not like Hriday. For in her dotage, she had a notion from the time of Akshay's death that it was Hriday who had killed him and that he was trying to kill the master and his wife. This was why she sometimes warned the master and said, never comply with what Hriday says. Signs of her loss of understanding through age and infirmity were found in various other respects too. Take for example, the following fact. The Alambazar jute mill was situated near the Dakshineshwar garden. The workers of the mill were given leave for some time during midday. They were again called to work half an hour later by the sounding of a whistle. That is what all mills you see. The old lady came to the conclusion that the sound of the whistle of the mill was that of the blowing of conches in Vaikuntha. Therefore, she would not at all take her food till that whistle was sounded. So, Vaikuntha Shankoheche, the Lord will sit for food now. Now I will also take food. That spiritual sense, even in that madness. Requested to take food, she would say, how can I adjust now? Food has not yet been offered to Lakshminarayan. The conch in Vaikuntha has not yet been blown. Should one take one's food before him? Now, on the days the mill was closed, what would happen? It was difficult to make her sit to take her food on mill holidays, on which the whistle was not sounded. Rida and the master had to invent various means to make her take her food. Oh, you did not hear it as long or something. The fourth day came, so we see clearly spirituality. Though on one side she did not like Hriday, because later on Hriday will be problematic to the master. The fourth day came, she showed no signs of illness, so full life she has lived. The master went to her after dark and filled her mind with joy by leading the conversation on to his early life and telling her accounts about it. She was sent to bed at midnight when the master returned to his room. Last day till midnight. It was morning the next day. The clock struck 8, but the old lady did not open the door and come out. Kali's mother went up to the door of the room on the first floor of the Nabad and called her repeatedly, but got no reply. She put her ears to the door and heard an unnatural sound coming out of the old lady's throat. She became alarmed and informed the master and Hriday about it. Hriday went, opened skillfully the bar of the door from outside, and found that she was lying unconscious. He then brought Ayurvedic medicine and placed it on her tongue. That is, these days they keep brandy. So there is a Hiranyagarbha mantra which gives life for some time. He also began to make her drink milk and Ganga water drop by drop at short intervals. She continued in that condition for 3 days. Then came the last moment. She was taken to the sacred Ganga, the usual practice. The master offered at her lotus feet. Master went there, sandal paste and leaves of the holy tulsi, basil. As it was forbidden for the master as sannyasi to perform the obsequies of his mother, his brother's son Ramlal was deputed by him to perform her funeral rites. When the period of defilement was over, Ramlal, at the request of the master, set free a bull. So these are all Shraddha things that one bull you purchase and set it free. That is, should be done on the Shraddha. And perform the Shraddha ceremony according to the prescription of the scriptures. Here I told you the English spelling, Shraddha, it appears, it is Shraddha. I would put it H after S. Ceremony according to the prescription of the scripture. So some male member has to do it in the lineage. So her grandson did it. The two sons had passed. Thakur was a sannyasi. So the son did it. Now the master is showing that a sannyasi cannot do it. Demonstration of this fact also. The master went to perform tarpana at his mother's death. Tarpana is offering water in memory of that deceased soul. That is called tarpana. But could not do it. He was in a state in which actions drop off naturally. So Galita Karma Avastha of a sannyasin is proved in his life. Everything is demonstrated in his life. So this also is another demonstration what should happen to a real sannyasi. Paying regard to the prestige and honor of sannyasa and to the scriptural injunctions connected with it, the master did not observe ashaucha, that for amuk days you should be not touching others, you are impure, like that. But that is not applicable to the sannyasi. Or perform any other rites at the death of his mother. Feeling that he had not performed any action proper for his son, one day he was about to offer tarpana. So, after no injections, he has not done anything, but felt that he is his mother. So, want to do something, and he could not do that. But no sooner did he take up an anjali means in the hands like this, anjali of water, then a state of spiritual inspiration came on him. His fingers became insensible and separated from one another, and all the water fell between the fingers. So, demonstration of Galita Karma Avastha. Then, with a heart laden with sorrow, he sorely pleaded to his deceased mother his utter incapacity to do it. He was told afterwards that means he did not know. All the demonstrations are natural, without planning. That I will show Galita Karma Avastha, that he never did, but it happened. He was told afterwards by a Pandit that this state comes to a man who has reached this state when actions drop off. With his progress in spirituality, he reaches a state when performance of all Vedic actions is naturally rendered impossible, because Vedas tell us to do karma till we have not got his jnana, and he incurs no sin on that account. So, sannyasi does not incur sin that I have not done this, not that. This was demonstrated. Now comes another turn. The preliminary story is how he became known to the English educated disciples. Then from that we'll get the Divya Bhav. So, preclude to that, the master went to see Keshav Babu. Babu in Bengali is a gentleman. He was not a Swami, so he is addressed as Babu. Mr. Keshav, we will say, Keshav Esquire. An important event took place in the master's life by the will of the Divine Mother a year before his mother passed away. So, chronology is not strictly mentioned by Saradananda Swamiji. Events of one type are clubbed together. So, he was describing the death, Shambhu's death, mother's death. Then he comes back and says, Mathur, Keshav said, in 1875, there arose a desire in the master's mind to meet Keshav Chandra Sen, the leader of the Brahma Samaj of India. So Brahma Samaj was started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. The next leader was Devendranath Thakur, the father of Ravindranath. And the third in succession, you may say, was Keshav Chandra Sen. And this Keshav Chandra Sen was a Gunagrahak, appreciator of the merits. And he had some lot of spiritual element in him. And so, when he came to in Thakur's influence, he went on describing about him to all his followers. That is the important place in Thakur's Leela. And how it started, Thakur himself went to see him. Why he went to see him? Not with this plan. But Thakur had a habit of visiting everybody who is sadhana, who experiences God. We have seen him going to Kalna to meet that Babaji, Raghunath Das Babaji. So, this trait of the master, encouraging spirituality, encouraging dialogue between these different spiritual persons, was an important thing. So he went to him and used to ask, how do you experience God? In which form? That was the start of the conversation always. And then it turned into this. While the master was in ecstasy, he received the direction of the Universal Mother in this matter. So this came also through Mother in Bhava Samadhi that you go to him. And knowing that Keshav with his disciples was then engaged in spiritual practices like a retreat in Jayagopal Sen's garden house in Belgaria, a few miles to the north of Calcutta. Now it is a part of Calcutta and it is the nearest to the airport of Calcutta, Belgaria. He went there with Hriday, from whom we have this information. In Captain Vishwanath's carriage and reached there at about 1 p.m. The master wore that day a piece of red bordered cloth. The lower extremity of its front, tucked in folds, was thrown up over his left shoulder. That is the standard practice among the Bengalis. And it was swinging behind his back. So description is given because Hriday had gone with him. Keshav in the garden at Belgaria. Hriday got down from the carriage and saw Keshav and his followers sitting on the ghat of the garden pond. Ghat not of Ganges, garden pond. Coming up to him, he informed Keshav, my maternal uncle is a great lover of God and likes to hear talks and songs on Hari. Listening to them, he gets inspired and enters into ecstasy. That much introduction Hriday gave him. He has heard that you are a great devotee of God and has come here to listen to the talks on divine glory from you. So, Master has not told Hriday to tell all this, but Hriday surmised and introduced. If you kindly agree, I shall bring him here. Keshav gave his assent. Hriday, he did not say, no, I don't want. Hriday helped the master in alighting from the carriage. Till then he is sitting in the carriage and accompanied him. Keshav and others were till then very anxious to see him. But when they saw him, their eagerness cooled down and he was taken to be an ordinary man. From outside he did not appear anything. So people see from outside. They were eager, they heard Dakshineshwar Paramahansa and a great lover of God. But he was dressed in a red border cloth and like a babu, the end singing on his back. The first talk with Keshav. The master came to Keshav and said, is it true, gentlemen, that you all have the vision of God? They are congregating a retreat and there. So, is it true that you have a vision of God? Yes. Okay, this translation is fine. Some doubt, some positive. Is it true, gentlemen, that you all have the vision of God? I have a desire to know the nature of that vision. So God can be experienced in various ways. That is a very basic fact in Master's mind. And so that is how he used to ask. So the dialogue between two people having different types of visions is not contradictory. It is all complementary to each other was the basic fact in Thakur's mind. That is why I have come to you. In that way, the topic of God was taken up. We cannot say what Keshav said in answer to the Master's word, because reader does not know it. But the Master, we are told by Hriday, sang the famous song of Ram Prasad, "Who knows, O mind, how Kali is? She cannot be seen by the study of the six darshanas," and immediately entered into Samadhi. Six darshanas, that is called the Indian Orthodox darshanas, schools of philosophy, which follow the Vedas to some extent. That is called Orthodox. And there are six, Vaisheshik and Nyaya to the lowest order, Sankhya and Yoga in the middle order, and Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa, and Vedic Karma Kanda, and Vedanta, the knowledge portion and the real truth. So these six are called the Orthodox Hindu or Indian schools of philosophy. That is six darshanas. Now you may have philosophy, but they will not make you see God. So this Ramprasad says that who knows, O mind, how Kali is, she cannot be seen by the study of the six darshanas. That requires spiritual sadhana. So Master sang this, asking that how do you see God? What happened in between? Hriday does not remember, but the song is very clear in his memory. So he said, Thakur. And as soon as he sang this, he went into Samadhi, because he realized that idea and entered into Samadhi. When they saw that state of ecstasy of the Master, they have never seen that before, of the Master, Keshav and others did not regard it as a high spiritual state. They could not understand such, they don't know high. They thought it was mere feigning. That means he is just show, hypocritical, something which is not experiencing, that is called feigning. Or was due to a derangement of the brain, that is what the ordinary people think. So like epileptic fits or derangement of the brain. With a view to bringing him back to normal consciousness, Hriday had become habituated to that. Hriday now began uttering the pranava into his ear. So he understood he is going into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So to bring out from Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the only thing is utterance of Om, pranava. At this, his face brightened up with a sweet smile. Thus regaining partial consciousness, the Master now went on explaining profound spiritual matters. So little consciousness came, he started talking. The Master now went on explaining profound spiritual matters in so simple a language. That is the main thing. These technical words, nyaya words and all that is only for the scholars and philosophers. If you experience something, it will come out in natural words. And that is the Master. Profound spiritual matters in so simple a language with the help of common examples. That is what Thakur said, that all were charmed and sat looking steadfastly at his face. So Samadhi they did not understand. But when he started talking, they were charmed. It was in semi-conscious state. Nobody noticed that the time for bath and meal was long past. He had reached at 1 o'clock, so late they would have taken food. And imperceptibly, the hour for the next prayer was almost come, afternoon. Seeing that mood of theirs, the Master said, if any other animal comes to a herd of cattle, they go forward to gore it. But if a cow comes, they lick its body and it is there. Our case is just the same today. So because they could appreciate, Thakur did not say that you are ordinary people. So he wanted to become more friendly and close because they are also devotees. So I give this example that if a cow comes to the cow herd, they lick it. If any other outside animal comes, they hit him by horns and throw him away. Our case is just the same today. He then addressed Keshav and said, "Your tail has dropped off." A frog, when the tail drops off, it can be in water as well as land. Unable to understand its meaning, the followers of Keshav looked annoyed. So, tail and all that. When the master charmed them all by explaining its significance to them, "Look here," said he, "as long as the tadpole, that is the frog in the previous state, has its tail, it lives only in water and cannot come up on land. But when the tail drops off, it can live on land as well as in water. Even so, as long as a man has the tail of ignorance, he can live in the water of the world only. But when that tail falls off, he can as freely move about in the world as in existence, knowledge, bliss, Brahman." So Keshav has advanced. Though he is living in the world, he can merge in God. Also, that is what Master meant. Your mind, O Keshav, has now attained that state in which you can live in the world as also in existence, knowledge, bliss. So not a particular God is talking now, because they are Brahmas, worshippers of Brahma Samaj. So you have some experience of that Brahman also. The master spent a long time discussing various topics like this and came back to Dakshineshwar that day. Now, the result is that Keshav became attracted. The intimate relation between the master and Keshav. Keshav's mind was so much attracted toward the master since he saw him first, that from now on, till his passing away, till Keshav's passing away, he deemed it an honor and a privilege to meet him and enjoy his divine company very often. He would either come himself to the Dakshineshwar temple or take the master now and then to his Kamal Kutir, that was the name of his house, Lily Cottage, residence at Calcutta. The relation between the master and Keshav deepened so much that both of them felt a great want if they did not see each other even for a few days. So Keshav for his guidance and master for the appreciator and spreading of his message. At such time, the master used to go to Keshav in Calcutta, or the latter would come to the former at Dakshineshwar. Besides, Keshav considered it to be a part of the annual festival of the Brahma Samaj to come with his companions to the master or take him to them and spend a day with him in divine conversations. Full day. Many were the occasions when he with his followers came to Dakshineshwar in a steamer, singing the glory of God. Had the master brought up into it and took a trip on the Ganga, all the while listening to his ambrosial teaching. So in so many ways, Keshav took initiative to meet with him. Master also wanted to meet him. So the further direction in which this friendship is taking, we shall read tomorrow and conclude the reading of this great master second part, and then we'll shift to the first part, which is also equally important. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakasvam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.